All right, welcome back to Basement Movie Room. We're back with Season 2 of House of the Dragon.
We are back!
Episode 1 just aired. Well, we just finished it. It aired it like a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
We just finished it. Had some stuff in between. Got here a little late. Get started. But we're back. We're going to try to do this every week. Be with you guys every week.
We're back.
Hope I don't get sick from that high five.
Yep. Oh, wash your hands.
All right. So, if you haven't been with us before, this will be on the podcast. This will be on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Basement Movie Room. We also try to stream these, although I can't guarantee it'll stream every week because I'm terrible at setting up streams, although it's streaming right now, so I probably did an okay job.
Doing well.
And, you can also follow us. We do have a golf Instagram that I post a lot of memes to. We don't post much golf content there because I never record on the golf course, but you can see the memes. It's
I don't think they want to see that.
yeah, it's BMR Golfer on Instagram, so you can check us out there to see that stuff. All right, so we're going to get started. We basically do a recap of the episode, discuss it a little bit in between, give our thoughts on it, things like that.
And we're going to spoil it.
Spoil the hell out of this thing. So if you haven't watched the episode, watch it, come back to us, and we will have some thoughts on it. We're not professionals. We're professionals in other things, but not this. So we're going to do the best we can. So first things first, new intro.
Yes.
Obviously the same music, Ramin Djawadi's score, amazing. New intro, it's like a tapestry being made is what it is. It's not the map, though. And that it kind of is a map. I mean, it's showing the characters being made out in their sigils and things like that. So you have the greens and the blacks, of course, and you get all the side characters, like the important side characters, like the sea snake and his wife. And I'm bad with names. I can't remember all their names right now. I need a couple episodes to get all the names back.
Yeah.
You got the big ones. You got Rhaenyra, Daemon, Aemon, 16 different Aegons.
Yeah.
All
No
those,
kidding.
so.
Serious.
Yeah. So the episode opens with a shot of the woods. We got it on the TV so it can help me go along. But it's a shot of woods, and you kind of called it out right out of the gate. You were like, "Oh, this must be Winterfell."
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
It was the music.
Yeah.
The score that came on,
the score helped.
you know.
Yeah, the score helped. So there's a bird flying, and it's kind of like a long tracking shot that ends showing Winterfell Castle, essentially.
It's being narrated right now by
Yeah.
which the guy narrating is what Stark dang it. Said it during the show.
Not
R, starts with an R.
It was. I was thinking Kurgan Stark, but that's wrong. That's Highlander.
Kurgan. Oh my God, that would be a great Stark.
Kurgan.
The Kurgan Stark.
Yeah.
But his voice sounds like a mix between Jon Snow and
Yeah, it definitely does. And basically, the opening shot is men drawing lots to see who's going to take the black from Winterfell because they're going to volunteer people, of course, to go to the wall. And
John and Rob.
We get a shot of one guy who takes the black, and I assume this kid is a kid. It may be important in the show. Why else would we see this?
Right.
And I don't remember much about the book, or this may not have been a character in the book.
Yeah.
The next scene is the Starks traveling to the wall. I guess it's all the people who took the black going to the wall. And then we get the shot of what's his name? What's the Targaryen kid's name? The oldest one. I can't remember. Jace.
Yeah.
Jace Targaryen and Cregan, isn't it? Cregan Stark.
That was his dad.
Oh, is that? God, I'm bad with names.
I think it starts with an R.
Yeah, it's the Lord of Winterfell.
Yeah.
Let's just say it that way. He's a young guy, though. He's not very old. He looks
Yeah.
about the same age as Jace. So they're talking, trying to get Winterfell to join Rhaenyra, of course. And the talk's going well. He seems to be apt to join up because he believes that they're usurpers on the throne and that his family has always backed the throne since basically the Targaryens came in and conquered all of the Seven Kingdoms and conquered the North and took over. Basically, he kind of jabs at Jace a little bit about, like, you know, you brought your dragons up here. What were we going to do anyway, you know, against dragons? But he said, and they're at the wall, and he's like, but none of their dragons would cross this wall. Yeah, you know, we're getting some Game of Thrones stuff here about the wall and
a lot of stuff we already know.
Yeah, the dangers across the wall. So, so whatever the Stark's name is, we should have remembered this, but I didn't write anything down in this episode like I do sometimes. So he makes it clear that there's worse danger because Jace kind of says, "Hey, you're protecting against wildlings and beasts and things like that." And he's like, "There's much worse things than wildlings and beasts." And he's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he's just like, "What is he says
death.
Yeah, death. Yeah. So he's talking about the White Walkers clearly.
Regan, hold on. Now that I'm looking up,
yeah, you can look it up. So as they're talking, they're up on the top of the wall, overlooking all of the North, basically. And a crow.
No, it is Cregan.
It's Cregan. Yeah, I thought it was.
It is
Cregan. Yeah, Cregan.
Yeah.
So it's Cregan's start. So they get a message. A messenger brings them a message from a raven who flew in, and the message is clearly that Viserys, isn't his name Viserys?
Yeah,
Viserys, the middle brother of Rhaenyra's kids, has been killed by Aemond. So that kind of ends that scene.
Lucerys.
Luke. Yeah, Luke. Yeah. That's right, Luke. All these names.
Yeah.
I'm going to get mixed up constantly on these.
Because they're like second and third of their name, and
it's all the Targaryens have the same.
Yeah, they have zero originality.
Aemon, Daemon, Aegon. It's just all the same names.
Yeah.
And Martin writes them that way. And I remember in Game of Thrones they even changed some people's names because they were too close to the same name. They don't want people to get confused. They're not doing that in this show. They're keeping all the names because most of the names are important, obviously. So
it's cool to see the wall again, of course.
So Cregan does promise his graybeards because he said, we have to protect the North, so I can't give you my young soldiers. So he's going to give his older soldiers, and I think it's 2,000 men that he's promised to Rhaenyra Targaryen. And they're the graybeards, and he says, and Jason's like, as long as they can fight, and he's like, oh, they're from the North, they can fight.
And at this time they had a lot more defending the wall.
Yeah, there's a lot more. The wall's way better,
way more fortified,
and in far better, better shape. The next scene we get is what is her name? The sea snake's wife. Gosh, it's
Rhaenys.
Rhaenys. That's it. Yeah, you got it. Good for you for remember that. Rhaenys Targaryen.
I'm good for something.
Rhaenys Targaryen, or Rhaenys, sea snake's wife. I can't remember his real name. I'm just going to call him the sea snake. She flies into Dragonstone, and immediately Daemon comes out and says, "Mount your dragons. We're going to go kill Aemond." Basically, he's
still geared up.
He's geared up, ready to go. Because this is like directly after she flew out of King's Landing, broke through the floor, which is kind of silly, honestly, in that first season. So she flew straight to Dragonstone. So we're like immediately after the end of season 1.
Yeah, this takes place real quick.
And essentially, Daemon says to Rhaenys that Rhaenyra is not there. She's left, and we'll see her in a little bit. And this scene kind of just shows how unhinged Daemon is. But I was kind of saying, like, he's unhinged, but he's knowingly unhinged. He knows that he's crazy.
He knows the directive.
Yeah, he's ready.
He knows what's happening, and he's like I said, dialed in. He is ready for what is to come.
Yeah, and you get a good feeling here as well that he's going to do some stupid stuff.
Oh yeah.
That he's a liability, honestly. He's always been a liability throughout the whole show. He's a liability to Viserys, the king. He's a liability. He's not going to make this better.
He's a wild card that is...
By the end of the episode, he's only going to make it way, way worse. One of the worst scenes in the book, and probably one of the worst scenes in the show. Game of Thrones versus this show as well.
Yeah.
This is one of the toughest scenes at the end of this episode. So...
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. But, Matt Smith as Daemon is still just... top notch.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. No, he's top notch though. He's so good. I mean, he's just both of them, Rhaenys and Daemon are both.
I mean, this has been 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a couple years since.
And it looks like they haven't stopped shooting. It's almost like they did the Lord of the Rings and just shot, two movies right in a row. So I'll be right back.
Yeah. So we get a very small scene just after this with Rhaenyra. She's out looking kind of rough. She's clearly been just out in the wild on her dragon. You get it later what she's doing. She's looking for Luke, essentially, to see if possibly he survived or what happened. And then we kind of jump from that scene over to the Sea Snake. And a ship's return to their port. I can't remember their port, but Sea Snake, always fantastic. That guy's a great actor. He's terrific with the white dreads and everything.
Yeah, I love his casting.
Yeah. And he meets with this guy, this bald guy who's getting off a ship.
Alan.
We find this guy's name is Alan. I like a normal name. I finally get a normal name. It's not like Elenius or something like that.
It's probably Allean.
Yeah, it's got a lot of letters. Yeah. And we find out that he's the guy who pulled the sea snake out of the sea and saved his life. And he hands the sea snake a dagger, and that dagger was something he had ordered for Luke. And he's like, well, this, I'd ordered this for Prince Lucerys, and he's never going to give it to him, obviously. So that, I'm wondering if that's like a Chekhov's gun, because you don't show a weapon in a show if you're not going to use it at some point.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that
it's
dagger.
It's going to come back around.
That dagger's got to come back at some point.
It's going to end up in Damon's or Aemon's
neck. So the sea snake tells this guy, I owe you a debt. So the sea snake's going to be, this guy's going to be a part of the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We flash over to King's Landing with one of the Erics.
The
Von Erics.
The Von Erics.
And one of the twins. As you know from last season, Eric stayed. They're both named Eric, right?
Eric and
Eric. It's A and E. Yeah. So one of the Erics stayed in King's Landing and sided with the Greens. The other Eric, we'll see him later. He sided with the Blacks. He's with Rhaenyra. They're both Kingsguard, so they each took a king/queen. And a dragon flies in. They get the scorpion ready, and you commented like, "Where were these scorpions in Game of Thrones?" But I was like, "Well, the dragons all went away, so they didn't have a use for them. It's like 200 years."
This technology just disappeared, and then all of a sudden, and then when it came out in Game of Thrones, it was like, "Oh, this is new." It's like, well, no.
Yeah, but that short scene is just showing that it's a friendly dragon. It's the king's dragon. He's flying back. He walks, the next scene, the king walks into his chambers where his wife, his sister wife, is there being crazy as usual. She's saying crazy stuff.
Spitting out riddles.
She says something here about rats, and that's going to come into play later. And I heard it, and I was like, yep, I know that. I know what's coming.
Yeah. And
his little kids are there. They're twins, I guess, a boy and a girl. And the girl's there. The boy's doing his studies, and he wants to take him to the council chambers because he wants the kid to learn because he's the heir at this point.
Because he never got to do that with Viserys.
Yeah, he never got to do that. This guy continues to be our new favorite guy to hate, the king.
But there's something about him.
Yeah,
I kind of like.
Yeah, he's not as bad as Joffrey. He's not pure detestable evil.
Yeah,
He's honestly, he's a pawn.
His
mother and Otto Hightower are just controlling him.
He didn't want to be in this position. He's thrown into it. He's still like hanging out with his boys and stuff, which you'll see later on.
Yeah,
he's like a teenager.
He's a teenager.
Being a
teenager.
He doesn't care about power.
Yeah. So that short scene ends, and we jump over to the Queen Regent, the king's mother. What is her name? God, it doesn't matter. And she's with good old Crispin. Kristen Cole.
Allison.
Allison, that's it. God, I am so bad with the names.
Allison and Crispin.
Allison Hightower.
Yes.
Crispin. We call him Crispin.
Yeah, he got crispy.
We hate him. He's terrible. He's the worst. I can't wait to see him die. It's going to be fun. But they're in Indelecto flagrante.
Oh.
As the Italians may say.
Whoa.
And
I don't even speak Italian.
Clearly, this just keeps going.
I know what
on.
that
This
means.
is still going on, and she's like, "This is the last time." It's like, "Oh, the last time."
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to prove false later. But they're talking, and she pins his cape on him, and he's still just a douchebag. Honestly,
Yeah.
I hate him so much. But maybe you're on Team Green. You like him. Good for you. I don't care. We get a small shot of a rat catcher, which is going to become extremely important later in the show. I knew as soon as I saw this guy he was coming back, because you don't show a rat catcher unless he's coming back, of course. He's another Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we go into the council chambers. So the council, Otto playing his game to control the council.
Otto steals every scene for me.
What is it with hands in these shows, man? They're the real power.
Yeah.
The crazy thing. They're the power behind everything. It was in Game of Thrones. You had Lannister, Charles Dance being the real power behind the king. So
when they should actually be the king.
Yeah,
but I guess they don't have. I don't know.
Yeah. Tywin Lannister, of course, is on the council, and Aegon brings his son, the heir, in there, and the heir keeps messing with Tywin Lannister's little marble that they use when they're talking, and the king is kind of being crappy to Tywin Lannister, saying you should give the kid a pony ride.
Yeah.
Alicent steps in and finally stops it and says, we're trying to take this serious, but she blames Tywin, which was hilarious, and Tywin's just sitting there. He's got no balls.
He keeps interrupting, but we need to concentrate here.
He's not the Lannister we know.
Yeah.
Of course, you have a Maester. I think he was in last season. I don't care about his name or whatever.
He came in later.
But you got Otto, Alicent, the king, Tywin. So they're having the meeting, and the king is being a bit harsh in this meeting, thinking they're going to go to war, and Alicent tries to calm him down, and she does. She manages to kind of calm him, but they're talking about who's on their side and whatnot, and it's just a typical council meeting. It's a lot of fun though, because the kid, to be honest, it's pretty funny, and Aegon's just having a lot of fun with this as well. He loves being king, but again, he's a child essentially. He doesn't know what he's doing. Otto's the real power in this room. Which you also get a little hint that Otto and Alicent aren't really on the same team anymore.
Right.
Yeah, because she's not real fond of him. You get a real good idea of that shortly when
she
pops in.
And she asked about if her letter got to
Rhaenyra.
And that was kind of shot down. So she still has love out there for Rhaenyra.
Yeah, you see that later too. In one scene. So the big thing that comes out of this council meeting is the people who have not decided to go with the king. You got the Riverlands haven't responded.
Yeah.
The North hasn't responded. Obviously, we already know they're not with them. And I think they say that the Stormlands is going to be with them, obviously, because Aemond is going to marry their daughter in the Stormlands, the Baratheons. The Baratheons in the Stormlands, So, all the special names. So they've got some people on the board. They've got some people that they don't think are going to be on the board, and they're talking about going to the Riverlands and just take the dragons to the Riverlands and make them. And
he's basically his uncle.
Yeah.
Or what is that? His uncle? Daemon. Is that his?
Aemond.
Or would that be his
Daemon
cousin?
is their uncle.
Yeah.
And obviously Aemond and Aegon are brothers. So
but
all their uncles.
Aemond is okay. Daemon is Aemond's uncle.
Daemon because Daemon was Viserys' brother.
Right.
And he's Viserys' kid.
Okay.
Along with Rhaenyra, of course.
But they're basically the same.
Their uncle.
They're the same
brothers.
person. They're the same person.
They are. They're ridiculous.
They're wild. They're the wild cards.
They're problematic. Yeah, they're definitely problematic. Otto, of course, calms everything down in this, and they decide to kind of see what happens, try diplomacy, which is
stealing scenes.
Yeah, I mean that's Reese.
That's what he does.
That's what he does.
I love every time he's on camera. He just has that presence.
Yeah, and then the next scene we get creepy Larys.
Oh yes,
Larys is he's the worst. This actor is so good at being just absolutely detestable.
Just a creep.
He's a creep. Oh. He looks like a creep. He is a creep. The scene last season. Everything terrible. I hate him so much. I think that's why I got to go with the blacks. Because people like Larys and Kristen Cole and Otto Hightower. I love the guy, but I also hate the guy. He's a schemer. So it's like...
But when it comes down to it, they're both terrible sides.
Yeah. Nobody's good in this.
No, nobody's good.
It's all going to end poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this next scene is like the queen getting a bath, and she's being bathed, and she sends all of them away. And you can tell she's conflicted. I think that's what it is in this scene.
I think we were talking during this. It's like, if I was getting a bath by other people, that would be weird.
Oh, yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah. I wouldn't want people bathing me.
No thanks. Yeah, she sends them all away, and she's very conflicted. She doesn't really want this war because I think she still obviously has feelings for Rhaenyra. They were best friends when they were kids. So she's very conflicted, but that's kind of just the scene. Yeah. You see her kind of bathing herself and just kind of looking worried. And
I think she's almost thinking like she doesn't understand what it's like to lose a son.
Yeah.
So, her son got injured pretty bad.
Yeah.
But for Rhaenyra to actually lose a son, I think she actually feels like the pain for her, because they were really, really good friends. So she still has that connection with her.
Yeah.
And this episode does a good job of like building on all those emotions early on.
Oh yeah. But then there's another scene later where she's kind of being shitty about the Rhaenyra's kids and things, about Aemon and the Eye and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So the next scene, Rhaenyra, we flash back to Rhaenyra and her dragon, and there's some fishermen dragging something onto the shore, and they say it's a dragon wing, and Rhaenyra flies in on her dragon.
And this all looks good now. When we were watching it, it was so blurry.
There's a lot of graininess at first.
A lot of people watching, I guess. Yeah.
It kind of... the funny thing
I don't know if you guys had the same problem or not.
It kind of cleared up around the time the episode was probably ending for real.
Yeah.
Like people started watching at 8. I think it cleared up later on in the episode. So Rhaenyra flies down, looks at the dragon wing. It's clearly Luke's dragon. She finds Luke's cloak in the netting that the fisherman had pulled in. And of course, she loses it. Her son's dead. She knows at this point her son is absolutely dead. She had hope until this point, I think, that maybe it wasn't.
I might go back and watch that scene.
Yeah.
Whenever he gets, killed, see if his cloak and all that.
Yeah. There's definitely stuff falling.
Yeah.
In that scene.
Just curious.
Kind of interesting thing in this, you can kind of see her dragon looking at her from behind, because the dragons can kind of feel their emotions.
Yeah.
So the dragon is very concerned about her. I thought that was a cool little touch, and he's roaring, and because he knows she's in pain, he's in pain, or she's in pain. I can't remember if her dragon's a male or a female. The next scene's probably one of the better, funnier scenes in the show. Yeah, Rhaenyra in that last scene, though, that's some top quality acting. Emma Darcy's a great actor. Well, they're not. I guess they're a non-binary in real life, so great actor, I'll say, because they are non-binary.
Yeah.
I have trouble with those terms. I can never get that right. Trying to respect the wishes of the actor, because they're great.
Yeah.
Next scene is the throne scene where Aegon has to sit on the throne and listen to people coming up to talk to him about things. I thought it was a pretty funny scene.
Oh yeah,
because he has no idea what he's doing.
No.
He walks up there and this guy comes up. It's like, hey, you took 10% of my flock, or 10 of my flock, or something like that.
I'm gonna need that back.
He's like, I'm not gonna make it through the winter with this, and he's like, oh, we'll give you your goats back. And he's like, they're sheep. Oh, sheep, even better.
Yeah, even better. Yeah.
and Otto slowly walks up the stairs. He says, sir, we're preparing for we're preparing for war. We need the extra for the dragons because they're going to expend a lot of energy. And he's like, I have changed my mind now. You will not get your sheep back. And it's just showing that Aegon has no idea.
No
what he's
idea.
doing.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
idea. And then Otto's the real power.
But pretty good scene with the next guy that comes up.
Yeah.
It almost relates to like.
Yeah, Hugh.
I think it. Yeah, and he's a blacksmith.
His name's a normal name.
Yeah, Hugh.
Yeah,
The blacksmith.
Yeah, he comes up and it's like,
They need-
we don't have enough
coin
to buy the iron that we need to make all the weapons.
Right.
And Aegon's like, yeah, we need weapons. We'll make sure you get the coin, increase.
And he's sitting around the throne. And we were kind of talking. It's like maybe they're gonna take some of these swords that are on the
They're going to take some of those.
the landing there. So
All right, so yeah, he promises more money to the blacksmith. Otto starts to walk up, but he stops because Otto thought it was actually a good decision, I think, ultimately. So, that worked out.
Putting the money where it counts.
Yeah, putting the money where it counts.
But I still think they're going to be depleted. And they're going to end up having to use. They're going to take all the Iron Throne. Yeah,
they're going to make
and
that
that's
smaller to that chair like it was in the first season. It's a good way to change it.
It's pretty cool if that's what they do.
Yeah. As the king finishes the council, but the hearing of people, he starts walking up the stairs back to his quarters, and Larys is there and starts talking to him, asking for a private word.
Oh, creepy Larys.
And you get Larys talks to him about how Otto is kind of trying to control the kingdom, and he's the real power, that he shouldn't let Otto do that. So this is clearly Alicent sending Larys to do some bidding to try to decrease Otto's power, or maybe even get Otto kicked out of the hand position.
Yeah.
I think that's very much where it's going, and obviously Larys wants to be the hand. For sure. So we might get Larys as a hand at some point. I don't remember, but he might get a hand position, and it's just creepy, dude. It's so creepy. But yeah, it's kind of a small scene. Not much to it.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is the next scene? Because we haven't got there on the TV yet. I believe it's back in Dragonstone. Rhaenyra returns and walks into the council. Oh no, there's a scene with Alicent as well here. And Otto. It's a short scene, Alicent and Otto talking. This is where Alicent brings up, like, oh, they took my son's eye and they didn't pay for it, And it's like, you were kind of worried about this earlier and now you're not. So it's kind of a weird scene because she's all over the place, to be honest. And, Otto being Otto is just kind of like, hey, we're trying to avoid...
Stay the course.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid a total war here.
Yeah.
It may not be avoidable, though, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a short scene, but it's Otto being Otto, as usual, and Alicent.
I think it's good to show them they're both not on the same page.
Yeah,
That's all that was.
Definitely not on the same page. So the next scene, I believe, is Rhaenyra returning to Dragonstone. She goes in, and essentially they have a little war council, and they're saying, oh, just let me know, and we'll have our armies marching, and it's her council, essentially.
Oh.
And Daemon is there, and he's like, oh, I'll go, take Aemon. I'll kill Aemon if you tell me to. He's gonna do it anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. He's gonna do what he wants.
It doesn't matter. But Rhaenyra doesn't really say anything.
You don't even see her face until she turns towards.
What does she say? She says,
I want
Aemon. I want
Aemon.
Yeah. So she says that. So Daemon takes that as like, yep, now I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I'm gonna get you that.
Yeah. So after that, we get a scene where Daemon returns to. He goes to King's Landing, actually, on a boat. He gets to King's Landing. He's wearing a hood. I was like, oh, it's a Jedi. King's Landing. And he goes up to the gate. And, we also get scenes with the White Worm. She comes back, and Daemon has her in a cage.
Yeah.
That's where he gets information on how to get into King's Landing
right.
and who he can talk to.
Yeah.
So he finds a guard. There's a gold cloak there. And he gives him gold, and he says, I hear you're not a fan of the High Towers. And that guy's like, fuck the High Towers. Yeah. And
big
so,
dude.
Yeah, big old guy. Big guy. Big, not mountain size.
Big booming voice.
Pretty big dude. He lets him in, and he takes him to the rat catcher who we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And if you've read the book at all, you'll know the rat catcher is kind of a...
Just scum.
Yeah, just total scum.
He is what he catches.
Yeah. So Daemon says, I want you to kill Aemon Targaryen. and
Yeah,
the rat catcher.
It's funny how he had to like explain to them
Yeah.
what he looks like.
Yeah, with sapphire eyes, hard to miss, basically. And the rat catcher's like, it'll be, we can do it. And Damon's like, I hear he's a good fighter, apparently.
Yeah.
So he gives him a bag of gold and says, half now, half when it's done. And he says he's a guard.
Take the big guy.
Take the big guy. He's a guard.
You're going to need him to take on Damon or Aemon.
So. And then the guy says, well, what if we can't find Aemon? And it cuts off right there before Damon says anything.
Yeah.
We don't know what he said.
Yeah.
We don't actually know with what happens is that actually what he said.
That was a nice cut.
Yeah. We have no idea if that's what it was doing. But, and I'm sure there's scenes in the middle, but the next scene we really get, the biggest scene, is with the rat catcher and the big guy going into the tunnels of the castle with a dog. And they're going in to catch rats. They're expected to be in the castle. They know these guys are going to be in the castle because of all the rat problem they're having. So he takes the big guy into the castle, and they get to a room, and the rat catcher's like, I don't know how we're going to get to them because they're in the tower, and I'm not one of the rat catchers that can go up there. And the big dude, man, he picks that dude up with one hand by the neck and says, we were paid to do a job or whatever.
He looked a lot like the mountain.
He does. He has that look about him for sure. So he picks him up by the neck and says, we're here to kill him.
And he's money hungry. So like there's a scene earlier with Aemon and Crispin, and they were like,
oh, that's right,
trying
money
to
on the table, trying to make plans of their own,
on a map and all this and that. And Otto came in and was like, "What are you guys doing?
Can't do anything.
We can't be,
king.
Knock it off."
Yeah. So you see that table again.
It's still got the money on it.
Yeah, the money. That big guy.
The big guy takes all that money. So he's all
he's all about the money.
Yeah.
So the rat catcher agrees to go on because he doesn't know his way up there, but he says, "Oh, but you do, so you can take me." And then the rat catcher kicks a dog. I hate that guy. He kicks the poor dog. So they go up there. That's where he takes the money. And they're creeping around trying to see if Aemon's there. Aemon's not there. He left earlier, as we saw in that
he got
scene.
out.
He left. So they're looking around, and they find the queen, Aegon's sister, in a room, and the two small children, Aegon's heir and the heir's sister. And he's like, hey, he wanted a head. We'll give him a head. So they hold the sister with a knife point, like, which one is the boy? And she points to one of them. She has to point out the boy. And the big guy's like, no, it's the other one. She's lying to us. And the rat catcher's like, no, she's telling the truth. And so then you get the small child being killed. You don't see it. It's off camera, but you hear all kinds of nasty sounds. It's terrible. And the mother grabs the girl.
They did that. They did that pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're
honestly,
not going to show that. I mean, that's even too much for this show.
I thought they killed both.
Nah, in the book they may have, but they didn't in the show.
Yeah, not in the show.
So the mother grabs the child and runs out.
The girl.
The girl.
Yeah.
And she busts into Alicent's room where she's with Crispin again, and says, they killed him. They killed him, and so
and that's how it ends.
Where it ends.
Yeah.
That's where it ends.
Pretty awesome episode. I'm so glad they didn't wait.
Yeah.
Another episode. This scene is what really throws everything into. It's all out on both sides.
Yeah, you got to get that scene out of the way. It's going to make everything.
Because the blacks are ready. They're ready to just go.
Oh yeah, they're ready.
The Greens are trying to
diplomacy.
Yeah,
they're trying to avoid war, but there's no avoiding war
until
this. Yeah.
Game of Thrones and kids starting stuff.
Yeah,
that's where it all begins.
Yep.
So. And that's where it takes off. The kids in Game of Thrones are what causes all the chaos.
Yep, pretty much.
So,
all right. So that's episode 1, season 2, House of the Dragon. Fantastic starter episode.
Great start.
It's going to get us going. This is going to be hard and heavy from here on out. I think, man.
I don't
really
feel.
Is.
it doesn't feel like there was 2 years taken off.
Yeah.
It feels like they picked it right back up.
You're right back into it.
Yeah.
It looks great. Everything's great. It's like the dragons look terrific, and they did in season 1 too. But everybody, all the characters on the board, we got a little peek at pretty much everybody, I think. I think we saw every single major character.
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, like the Sea Snakes kids, we saw them just minorly.
Yeah, they
had a little funeral for
the
Jules.
funeral,
like, a little. They burned his cloaks and things like to memorialize him, I guess.
Yeah, they'll come into play.
Yeah, they'll come into play. White Worm's back in play. Damon's using her. So that's where we're at. The chess pieces are set up. We're about to get some dragon fights.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get some dragon fights.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Can't wait.
Anything else?
No, just great start to a great show.
All right, so
Season
we'll
2.
see you next Sunday, hopefully. And keep watching. Be sure to subscribe.
Get on it. That's probably the best we've ever done.